Good afternoon from Sacred Space. I'm sitting here plonked on one of my very quickly eroding plastic chairs that I've had since 1990 when I bought my business with my former husband. So I've plonked the chair in the middle of my back lawn here, trying to catch some sunshine on my chest, because after that skin cancer was cut out, I already had asthma, like it was already grumbling away, but after that cancer was cut out on Monday, was I ill? Have I been ill? I actually didn't think I would survive it, but then I always think that, and I always survive. It's quite bizarre, actually. So I'm still feeling a bit fragile and a bit wrung out from, copious Ventolin and Seretide and gasping for air, and then having an agonising, massive big scar on my back shoulder. And tomorrow I have to go and get another one cut out. Like, are you fucking serious? Yes, they are. But anyway, look, at least he'll take the stitches out of this one. And I might negotiate with him to put it off, but then I think if I put it off, I'm only delaying the inevitable and I have to go through this agony again anyway. So I'll have to grit my teeth and soldier on, regardless. So I've had a shower, as you can see my hair's wet. And then I went out to clean my fish pond filter a day early, because I thought, well, tomorrow, if he carves into the second skin cancer, which is quite close to the freshly carved site, I'm going to be an epic mess, and I'll be in no condition to be lifting the heavy buckets and filters and, juggling that around. So I went out and I cleaned it today, and that's right. It wasn't all that dirty because I only did it last Wednesday. But anyway, I'm trying to sort of stay on top of things, stay in the flow, and keep things flowing smoothly for when I'm down for the count. I never do this, mopped my floors yesterday because they were pretty feral, because I have a lovely lady, Indonesian lady, Muslim lady, come to clean from me, courtesy of the Australian government now, who finally got on the program, realised I need support after how many decades of struggling on my own with very poor health. I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyway, this lovely lady comes on Thursday, but I put her off last Thursday because I'd just had this terrible thing done on the Monday, and I was so ill with fevers. I feared I might have COVID, but no, I don't have COVID. I had fevers and fighting this potential infection, and fevers probably from the trauma of it all too. I was febrile as soon as I came out of the doctor's surgery. I just went bright red and overheated, and I thought, it's menopause. No, it's the abject horror of it all. I honestly don't think I can do this much longer, but I've said that 1,000 times in my lifetime, and here I am, doing it. So, it's a bit of a dark, morose video today, because I'm feeling fragile. I got to thinking why I started to make the video. Excuse me. I got to thinking, I was sitting here on my chair, about how I came to be living in this house. And, I'd had my name down for Housing Commission since 2000, and I got literally brought here on the 5th of May 2003, I moved in. So, but the point of the story is that quite some years before that, around about Oh no, I was living in Loganlea at the time and I was under extreme threat from a former boyfriend and his evil, perverted sister. They were both evil and perverted. So they threatened myself and my children for 18 months, and of course, as you can imagine, I was at the end of my rope because I had no support from anyone, not the police, not my family, no one, with two young girls, and we were constantly being threatened. And that was another thing. I don't know how I survived. You know, he strangled me, his girlfriend attacked me, dragged me down the street. Oh, it was just endless. But anyway, the upshot of the story, we don't want to go into all those sordid details again. The upshot of that story was kind of in desperation because I didn't think I could go on much longer anyway with my little girls. Do you know, it's funny, you know, every time I go to make a video, my battery's dying. It's almost classic sabotage, isn't it? I'll just go in and plug in. So, where was I? Oh yes, so in desperation and not really knowing where to turn, I went to see a fortune teller. I don't remember the lady's name, but I tell you what, she was a gifted psychic. Very gifted psychic. It was down at Waterford West where I was living actually at that point in time. So it must have been, I didn't move into the house on Loganlea until 1999. So it must have been 98, 97, 98 time frame that I saw this particular psychic. Just bending down to get my charger. Must be professional. Oh dear goddess. Anyway, I'm at the stage I no longer care. I'm done. I love it when I say I'm done. It's like a final uprising happens in my spirit. It's like, nah, fool. You got more in you. Alright, let me just sit down. Running out of breath. So I went to see this fortune teller at that time. It's probably in my diaries. I've probably got that my diaries are somewhere. I've probably got the exact frickin' date, you know, because it was just such a thinking of the word milestone or marker. You know, when you have such a profound experience, when you know that you're being given information that is life-saving and ennobling and hope-inducing. And I still remember it to this day. She had, there was a hairdresser next door to where she read. She had this little, I don't know, little office there on the main road. Loganlea Road it was, but it was in Waterford West. Anyway, I sat there with this woman, and you know, she was an big strapping Aussie lass, blonde. Looked like she had Irish background or Scottish background actually, but never mind, born here in Aussie. I sat down with her, and I can't remember if she read tarot cards or what she actually read. I think it was tarot cards. And she just looked at me. And I didn't give her any details about me. She just had my name. And she said to me, I'm laughing about it because it's just so amazing. She said to me, you're going to move to a house with a mushroom-coloured roof. She said it's sort of kind of a reddishy colour, like the colours of mushrooms. And she said, and I want you to know, she said, you're going to be safe there. and the tears just started pouring, like involuntarily, just out of my eyes, like someone turned on a tap. The word safe nearly killed me, because I had no safety in those days. And so I'm standing there and I'm just crying, and she's getting distraught because she doesn't realise she's touched a bone, you know. And she said, yes. She said, don't worry, you'll be safe there. She said, but it's the last house you'll live in. And then I went, and she sort of realised, and she went, oh, the last house you'll live in alone. And she quickly covered it. But I knew I'm going to die in this particular house when I come here. At that time I hadn't envisaged it. She described it. She said there's beautiful trees all around and you'll be surrounded by nature and it's beautiful. And she said, and you'll be distressed, she said, because you'll be leaving a house where you're living prior to that has two big beautiful frangipani trees which you absolutely love, which I did have in the previous rental house I was in Mount Gravatt East. And she said, don't worry, where you're going has also got two frangipani trees, which I thought was delightful that she could even see that. Anyway, she said to me that this would be the last house I lived in, and then paraphrased it, alone. Well, I was sitting out there on my chair, and this is indeed the last house I lived in because I've died in it. I've had near-death experiences since I've lived here, three or four, but the particularly marked and obvious ones were my suicide attempt on the night of the 21st, 22nd of August 2015, and that awful gallbladder surgery on the 25th of June 2019. So that was two near deaths. And I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be alive. I shouldn't be alive to go through this chronic illness that I've had since childhood, this asthma, and now these carved out skin cancers. Anyway, I won't cry because other people have it worse. I'm very blessed by the gods. The house that was described came to fruition on the 5th of May 2003. This house was advocated for me by a GP I was seeing in 2000. I was already on the list, but I was seeing him about 2001, 2002, and he could see back then I was very ill and I wasn't coping, and I had by then my kids were nearly in their 20s and they weren't making life easy for me, and I just wasn't coping. I wanted to die back then. And so he actually advocated and wrote a letter to speed up the process for me to have housing, because at that stage I was paying, doesn't seem a lot in rent now, but it was quite high rent back in the day. I was paying $180 a week rent for myself and my two daughters to live in this really old house in Mount Gravatt East. It was a lovely house. It had massive big bedrooms. It looked nothing from the outside, but inside the rooms were like huge. I had a big massive bedroom, and I was lying there dying, feeling like I was going to die even then, on my bed with a sleep apnea mask, which didn't work. I trialled it for 10 months, it didn't work. So I'd lie there with this mask going like fucking Darth Vader, and all glamorous in my bed. I'd wake up and my kids would be sitting on my bed with all their friends, sometimes young little boyfriends as well, 15, 16. And I wasn't naked or anything, don't get me wrong, but I'd be lying there going like, how do you invade my space? I'm like dying here and you're bringing little boys and little girls and you're sitting on my bed like, fuck off. And they loved it. They particularly loved it when I told them to fuck off. So anyway, so they had a little retinue of little followers. Jasmine, my youngest, especially being a bit of a narcissist, always had a retinue of little fads, She was a pretty little girl too. So anyway, there was that. So while I was trying not to die in that particular house, the gods were making